We are on day 17 of our reading plan. We are reading Genesis 13. I did not read yesterday. I took the day and hung out with family. We will just get back to it today. Genesis 13. Then Abraham went up from Egypt, he and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him to the south. Abraham was very rich in livestock, in silver, and in gold. He went on his journey from the south as far as Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to the place of the altar which he had made there at first. And there Abram called on the name of the Lord. Lot also went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tent. Now the land was not able to support them, that they might dwell together, for their possessions were so great that they could not dwell together. And there was strife between the herdsmen of Abraham's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. The Canaanites and the Perizzites lived and dwelt in the land. So Abraham said to Lot, "Please, let there not be strife between me and you, and between my herdsmen and your herdsmen. For we are brethren. Is not the whole land before you? Please separate from me. If you take the left, then I will go to the right, or if you go to the right, then I will go to the left." And Lot lifted his eyes and saw the plain of the Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as you go toward Zoar. Then Lot chose for himself all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated from each other. Abraham dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent even as far as Sodom. But the men of Sodom were exceedingly wicked and sinful against the Lord. And the Lord said to Abram, after Lot had separated from him, "Lift your eyes now and look from the place where you are, northward, southward, eastward, and westward. For all the land which you see I give to you and your descendants forever. And I will make your descendants as dust of the earth, so that if a man could number the dust of the earth, then your descendants also could be numbered. Arise, walk in the land through its length and its width, for I give it to you." Then Abraham moved his tent and went and dwelt by the terebinth trees of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built an altar there to the Lord. If you remember from our reading in chapter 12, at the end, Pharaoh sent Abram, Sarai, all his livestock, Lot, he sent them packing. He sent them out. When we pick up in chapter 13, we see that Abraham, Sarai, Lot, all of them, that they travel back. And I love where it says where his tent had been at the beginning, to the place of the altar which he had made there at first. And there Abram called on the name of the Lord. He had a heart of surrender. This is such a great example of when we sin, when we're disobedient to what the Lord has told us to do, instead of just grasping at straws, we need to have a repentant heart, a heart of surrender. And maybe we don't, physically go back to a place where we left. Maybe we do. Maybe it's a heart posture that we go back, that we remember, okay, what is the last thing that the Lord told me to do? In the last 6 months, the Lord has called my husband and I out of our church that we went to for 20 years, that we dearly loved, has had us on this journey of finding a new church. At times it has been extremely difficult. And I know that there have been times, even recently, where I'm like, "Oh Lord, I just need a word from you." I feel convicted because I'm like, here's your word. And the last thing that you laid on our hearts is to find a new church. So that's what we need to be doing. We need to be obedient to the Lord. He's called us out for a reason, for a purpose. And his reasons and his ways and his purposes are not always easy, but they're what's best. So we need to follow him. We don't need a new word. We just need to be obedient. And when Abraham left Canaan, where God told him to go, and went to Egypt out of fear, that was being disobedient. We can chalk it up to anything else, but it's still disobedience. When we allow our emotions to control our actions and not follow what God has told us to do, it's disobedience. Here we see that Abraham has a repentant heart, a surrendered heart, and he wants to be obedient to the Lord. Now you see that Abram and Lot are trying to dwell in this land together, and they have too much stuff to support the both of them. There's some strife between the herdsmen. Abraham says to Lot, "Hey, I don't want there to be any strife. So you pick where you want to go, and then I'll take whatever you don't choose. I thought it was so cool yesterday at a church that we've been visiting. He preached out of James chapter 4, verse 1. Where do wars and fights come from among you? Do they not come from your desires for pleasures that war in your members? You lust and you do not have. You murder and covet and cannot obtain. You fight in war, yet you do not have because you do not ask. You ask and you don't receive because you ask amiss, that you may spend it on your own pleasures. I love Abraham's heart posture here towards Lot. He says, listen, I don't want to have strife between me and you. You choose, and I'll take whatever you don't choose. You know, the funny thing about that is that God had promised Abraham, not Lot. I mean, Abraham could have come out the gate and been like, Lot, God promised me this land, so you need to go. Abram trusted the Lord. And he said, hey, Lot, choose whatever you want to choose. I don't want to fight. He trusted the Lord. He trusted the Lord that whatever Lot chose, Abram was going to have exactly what the Lord wanted him to have. Maybe this sounds so evident in this story, but so often in our lives, we can really get into huge argument, just times of strife and contention with people because we're holding on too tightly to maybe a promise from the Lord. You know, I love to sing, and I would be lying if I told you there weren't times that I haven't felt jealousy towards other singers. Their voice is better, they harmonize better, they're booked more Sundays than I'm booked. The list can literally go on and on. But did the Lord call me to sing, or did man call me to sing? If the Lord calls me to sing, then I need to trust that the Lord is going to open up doors and opportunities for me to sing. Are you going to trust God with where He's called you? Are you going to trust God with the promise that He's placed on your life? Or are you going to strife and contend and just fight it out with your brothers and sisters in the Lord, with people around you, and be an awful witness for the Lord because you are just willing to take down anybody that gets in your way? Is that a heart posture of surrender and trust in the Lord? Or is that you making a way and not trusting God with your life? After Abraham and Lot split, the Lord spoke to Abram again and just reiterated, this is where I've put you to be. Look around, northward, southward, eastward, westward, for all the land which you see I give to you and to your descendants forever. A reminder from God, hey, you did the right thing, you acted in the right way, and my promise still stands.